And then it got to about September, October time. And he called me in. He said, listen, I need you to be a man. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, there's a big family reunion taking place in Nigeria. I can't travel because I've had this stroke. But I need you to go there and represent the family. Can you do that? It's a big responsibility. And I'm sort of like, yeah, I can do that. Part of my main reason was I'd never been on a plane before as well. I really wanted to go on a plane. So in December, told me I was going for 2 weeks, packed my bags, flew out to Nigeria, arrived in Lagos. Remember, I was staying with a cousin or an uncle and his cousins, and everything, everything's alien to you. And I remember the first time I was taken to Lagos Island, and the first thing that hit me was there was just so many people. It was just heaving with people. And I remember saying to my uncle that as something happens, is there event on today, because it looked like, when people are coming out of a stadium.
Yeah.
Or a concert, that's how it looked. Just hundreds and thousands of people. And he said, no, it's like this all the time. And the other thing I felt was there was so much tension in the air. I could feel it. Yeah, it felt like if somebody had just struck a match, everything would explode. And I'd never felt that feeling before. And I was staying with this uncle. And then another uncle took me from there to another uncle's place, where I was staying with this other uncle in a better place than the first uncle. And then about 5 weeks went by. I hadn't gone to any family reunion. There was no talk about me going back. I'm sitting there thinking, so I said to my uncle, I said, hold on, when am I going back to London? And he looked at me and he laughed. He goes, oh, they haven't told you. I'm like, told me what? He goes, you're not going back. I remember sitting there like, oh shit. And then about a week or a few days afterwards, I was woken up in the middle of the night and told to pack my bags. And I packed my bags, went outside, and there was a huge lorry filled with yams. My suitcase was thrown on the back of this lorry. I was told to climb up onto the back of this lorry. And we were driven off into the night.
Wow.
And it was almost a 2-day drive.
Wow.
And the roads are not easy. So sitting on the back of this lorry, bumping over yams all the time was not a comfortable ride. And we ended up in this village where there was no running water. All the roads were red clay. It was like the most remote place you could think of. And I was given to this man who was the headmaster of the local school.
Yeah.
And his job was to make a man of me. And I remember there was no electricity. The house that he put me in to stay, there was no toilet. It's like you wanted to go for a poo or a wee, just pick a bush. That's how remote this place was. Right. No electricity, no running water. You had to go to the well. I'm a kid from London. This is totally alien to me.
Of course.
And I remember the guy who I was staying with, he said, look, come and meet me at the school tomorrow. And I remember walking to the school, and at the gate of the school, there was a soldier. And I remember thinking, why is a soldier at the gate of the school? And I went to my guardian's office, and he went out to do the assembly, and the soldier was standing next to him during the assembly. And then I found out what the soldier's job was.
What's that?
If anybody was late, the soldier's job was to beat them.
Oh,
he had a whip.
Yeah.
And anybody's late would come to the front and he would whip them. If anybody got into trouble, they were sent to the soldier's office. His job was basically to whip kids.
Wow.
And you suddenly have that feeling, I'm not in Kansas anymore. No, there's no social services or anything like that. Everything you know about the world has gone out the window. Everything has gone out the window. So the whole time I was just like a fish out of water and terrified.
And has there been any
contact with either foster or biological parents at this point?
No, none.
Wow.
None. I mean, how am I going to contact them?
Whether or not,
this is not the days of email or
very true.
There was no telephone in this place.
Yeah.
So,
very true.
So I was cut off.
Wow.
So how did you find yourself ending up living underneath a bridge?
I managed to, let's say I found some money.
Okay. All right. Nice technical term there.
Yeah. And I managed to get my stuff together. And early one morning, I ran away from this village to Lagos. And I managed to get a taxi and all that to Lagos, or ride to Lagos. And I thought that once I get to Lagos, I'll be able to get back to London.
Yeah.
And we arrived in Lagos. And then suddenly, the taxi dropped me off. And I suddenly realized I have no idea where I'm going.
Mm.
I know there's no A to Z. There's no one I can ask. I don't know anybody's address.
Mm-hmm.
I was just dumped in the middle of this place. And I was walking around the first day with just my suitcase, just thinking, I don't know where I'm going to go. And then as it was getting dark, I saw some people gathering under a bridge. And they were sitting around and they were all sort of talking. There was quite a few of them, about 50, 60 people. Right? And I thought, I'll go and stay with them in that crowd. At least if I'm in a crowd, I'm safer than being on my own somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and I remember sitting by this wall the whole night, just watching everything that was going on. I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, if I heard somebody move or heard a voice, I was just, hyper vigilance. And then the next night, it started the same. And before I knew it, I was there. Gradually over the next few weeks, I started to sell all my stuff to buy food. And you suddenly get to that place where you have no idea what's going on. You have no hope.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember there were nights where, I remember one night I was sleeping and I felt something going up my body and I thought somebody was groping me in the night.
Mm.
Okay.
And I opened my eyes and there was this huge big rat running up my body towards my face. And I remember sort of jumping up and knocking it off and everyone just laughed around me.
Yeah.
Other times I remember one time, but not more than one time, I woke up and next to me, the guy or whoever was sleeping next to me had died.
Jesus. Wow.
During the night. I saw people stabbed. I saw fights take place all the time. But I also learned in that place about what friendship means.
Mm.
I mean, there would be a group of, and I remember seeing this, a group of guys would be fighting, arguing. And one of them would have a loaf of bread. And while this fight was going on, he was still sharing out the bread.
Okay.
You fucking bastard, have a piece of bread. I fucking hate you, have another piece of bread. And it was just weird. It was almost like there was this recognition that we're all in this together.
Yeah. Even
if we fight.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that people could give each other was themselves.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing else. You had nothing. So the only person you could be was your authentic self.
That's powerful.
And yeah, it was powerful, man. Very, very powerful. It forms the basis of all my friendships. I'm particularly drawn, or I love being around authentic people.
Mm.
Right. And then my day consisted of, there used to be a little kind of dirty stream. You go down there and you kind of have a little quick wash, if you can call it a wash. And then you spend the whole day begging.
Okay.
Going to bars and restaurants and, there was a job that we had that you could get occasionally. It was a nearby hospital. And occasionally they would let you come in and you can go to the mortuary and you get paid to wash the dead bodies.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, you get paid to wash the dead bodies in the mortuary. And that was one way of getting a little bit of cash.
Yeah.
They used to have this other job, but there's a name they gave them, I can't remember the name now, but they were shit collectors, basically. Because
Okay.
in some places they had these buckets where people used to shit.
Jesus.
And occasionally you could get on one of those lorries and you put a mask on and everything, and you just go around collecting people's shit.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
So that they, huh?
Why?
Because they didn't have anywhere, they didn't have sanitary places. So you collect the shit, put
Okay.
it in the lorry,
Yeah.
and then you take it to somewhere and you dump it.
Okay.
Mm.
How old are you around this time?
I was probably about 17, 18,
Jesus.
And how long have you been in Nigeria at that point as well?
almost 2 years.
Okay.
Okay. So this is one of my questions that I've got written down. So what happened in 1986 that was pivotal, which gave you a reason to head back to London at this point?
Well, wasn't what happened, it's who I met.
Richard.
Richard.
Yeah. Let's talk about Richard.
By 86, no, 80, I think I got 82, 83. I got off the streets and I was living with I drifted from various relatives.
Okay.
And then one of my uncles got me a job in a steel plant
Okay.
as a trainee welder.
Mm.
And I was earning about £25 a month.
Okay.
Yeah, but the job came with a room.
Okay.
And to me, that room was a palace.
Mm-hmm.
And I came back. I was working, and somebody came to me one day and said, "You're from London, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, we have this lump of gold. If you can sell it to the white people over here, you can keep half the money and buy yourself a ticket back to London."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Okay." With my, worldly wide self. And I took this lump of gold, and there was an English guy called Richard, a white English guy called Richard. And I went to him. He was working in the steel plant as a contractor. And I said, "I've got this lump of gold. Are you interested?" He said, "Bring it round to my house."
Mm-hmm.
So I went to his house. I gave him the lump of gold. He took it out the box, and he was looking at it, and he just took a knife and he just scraped it. And it turned out to be a lump of lead sprayed gold. And I just looked at him, and my face just dropped. And he looked at me and he said, "You've been used, haven't you?"
Mm.
And that was the beginning of a friendship.
Okay.
And every time I went to his house, it was like going back to England.
Okay. A little piece of
Because they had
England.
all their food imported and everything. So he would eat English food all the time and
Yeah.
fish and chips and all this sort of stuff. And I went back and, oh my God, fish and chips. And then he used to get videos of all the TV programs.
Okay.
Right? So going back to his house, putting the TV on was like watching the BBC.
Yeah.
And it was like being in England. And I remember he would give me a Mars bar. And I'd sit there and I'd put it in my pocket. He said, "Are you going to eat that?" I said, No, I'll keep that. And I'd take the Mars bar home.
Yeah.
And I'd slice it up into little pieces.
Savor it.
I could make a Mars bar last over a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I'd savor every last bit of that. I'd put it in my mouth and try and make it last as long as possible. Just to get those memories and those things back. And then his wife came over for a holiday. And at the end of the holiday, they had a party.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the party, there was about 4 of us just sitting around drinking and talking, the last whatevers. And then Richard says, "Why don't you go back to England?" And I'm sort of like, "How?" And he goes, "Well, where's your passport?" I said, "I have no idea. My uncle had taken off me years ago."
Mm.
And he said, "Have you got a British passport?" And my dad had told me that I wasn't entitled to a British passport.
Oh, wow.
And I'd never had any reason to question that.
Mm.
And I said, "Oh, I've got a Nigerian passport. I had a Nigerian passport. I'm not entitled to a British." He goes, "Where are you born?" I said, "In London." He goes, "Yes, you are." And I'm like, "Motherfucker." And then he said, "I'll tell you what." He said, "When my wife goes back, we'll get you a form and we'll get you a new passport." And I'm like, "Okay." So the passport arrives a few weeks later. He says, "I'm going to hold on to this because I don't want anyone to steal it off you." And I'm like, "Okay." And then a few weeks after that, I met at his house. And he used to build model aeroplanes. That was his hobby, remote control aeroplanes. And he says, "Oh, I've got something for you." And I thought it was because I saw this big box on the table. And I thought, "Oh, he's got a new plane. He's going to tell me about this plane." And he throws this envelope at me. He said, "That's yours." And I opened up the envelope, and inside this envelope was my passport and a first class ticket back to London.
Mm.
And he said, "You can't ask me why." And I'm like, shit. And I remember looking at it for ages, thinking, this is unreal. This is not happening. It was unbelievable. And then I remember the day we were leaving. We got to Lagos, and the whole time I'm expecting something to go wrong because this just seemed too easy. Things like this don't happen. Something's got to go wrong somewhere. And the first stage, we got to the airport, and in the airports in Lagos, they have what they call fixers.
Yeah.
And these are people that just help you navigate through the system. They get paid to navigate you through the system. And Richard said to this guy, he's got to be on that plane. I don't care what it costs, you get him on that plane. And this guy took me off, and we go through these various checks. And then we get to one point, and he says, "Right, you have to go by yourself from here." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "But go to desk number 6 or whatever." He said, that's our guy.
Yeah.
He said, "Make sure you go to him. He's the one expecting you." I said, "Okay." So I'm in the queue, waiting for number 6. And then when it came to my turn, just as I was walking there, the guy at number 6 gets up, walks off, and another guy comes in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh shit, what do I do?" So I still go to, and in my head, I'm thinking, this is where it goes wrong. This is where it happens. Okay, I was expecting this. Don't worry. But I was thinking I'm going to be sent to jail. I was going to be, all these things were going through my head. And I get to the desk, and I give the guy my passport. Now, because it was a brand new passport, there was no stamp to say I had entered the country.
Yeah.
Of course.
Right? So he takes the passport, he looks at it, he goes, "You have no entry stamp." And I'm like, I didn't know what to say. I didn't have any explanation. I just stood there and stared at him. And he looks at me. He goes, "Oh, go ahead." He gives me back the passport. And I'm like, wow. And we go through, and I go into the waiting lounge. And Richard's in, and I'm sitting down there, and I'm thinking, okay, we're this far. Then the next thing happened. As we were sitting down, these 6 soldiers came in. Right? And they were from the far end of the hall. They start marching up behind us. And I'm thinking, that's it. They've got me. They found me. And I could hear these soldiers popping. I could hear their guns clanging and everything. Right? And I'm thinking, it was so hard for me to sit down and not jump up and say, "Here I am, take me." And they marched, and then they marched past. And I'm just thinking, oh, maybe they haven't seen me. Then we board the plane. Right? And the captain comes over and goes, there's going to be a slight delay before we take off. If everybody could remain in their seats for the time being. And these soldiers get on the plane. And I'm like, this is it. They've come to find me. They now know. And again, they walk up the aisles. They're looking at everybody, walk past me. And they grab this guy at the front in the front seats.
Okay.
And they take him off. Right? And then they say, "Right, we have clearance for takeoff now." And I never forget, man, God, that plane, as it started to climb, tears just started flowing. Oh man. The tears just started flowing.
Wow.
I was going home in my mind. And we arrived at Heathrow, got off the plane, and Richard said to me, he said, look, he lived in Liverpool at the time. He said, "I could take you to Liverpool and you could stay with me till you get on your feet." He said, "But that's too easy." He goes, "There's £50. There's my phone number. Give me a call when you get settled. Bye."
Rich has done more than enough. He's done his job.
He's done his bit.
Yeah.
He's done his bit. And there's a question I keep asking myself. I could have gone straight to my foster parents' place.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I didn't.
Well, we know from what you've told us today. We know why you would have, second guessed doing that. Because I don't know if.
Well, if you can tell me, because I don't know why.
Oh, sorry, foster parents. Sorry.
Yeah.
Wake up. Yeah. Sorry. Foster
Listen.
Parents. Yeah.
Listen. Is he sleeping?
I'm here. Sorry. Yeah. Foster parents, of course. Sorry.
I've got to ask, considering that we just spoke about Richard, we just spoke about your foster parents. Just if you were to zoom out for a moment, it looks like the most helpful people in your lives has been white people. And the most
at that time.
At that time.
Or the most. No. I'll rephrase that.
Okay.
At that time, the most helpful people that I noticed
Okay.
were white.
Yeah. Yeah. Because when you was homeless, obviously you was around people that.
But there was also other things, man. That's a very interesting statement. The people I noticed were white. But when I look back, when we get into the book thing, I realized there was a lot of people that were there for me.
Okay.
That I didn't see.
Okay.
I didn't recognize. For example, have you guys heard of a guy called Wole Soyinka?
No.
He was the first African to win the Nobel Prize.
Okay.
Professor Wole Soyinka, and he won it for literature.
Oh, nice.
Right. I used to sit with that guy almost every day when I stayed with my uncle. He used to come around. Him and my uncle were best mates.
I remember you talking about this when we first met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was and not realizing the magnitude of this man. And he would try and talk to me, and I just think, oh, what's this old man talking to me for? So I had that blinker on that. There was a part of me that thought only white people were good to me. Did that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Are you still in contact with Richard?
Oh God, yeah, very much so.
Big up Richard, wherever you are, man.
Yeah. We still talk, and in fact, I might send you the video of I did an interview with him.
Okay, cool.
We need to see that.
Yeah, please do.
We want to share.
You need.
Yeah.
You would like to. Yeah, he lives up in Northumberland now.
Okay. All right, so go on.
No, go on.
No, I was going to say I wanted to move on just in regards to the police. Before we kind of come to a close, I definitely wanted to speak about your time in that institution and what made you want to go into that institution knowing that it was somewhat racist, even though I know you explained in other podcasts that when you was young you saw a guy commanding the traffic and things of that nature. But putting that aside, knowing that especially in this country, that it's institutional and even up to today they still have their issues, what made you still think I could be part of it and be accepted within that institution?
Because I never saw myself as being black.
Okay. So that goes back to, again, like I mentioned initially, goes back to your childhood.
Your childhood, yeah.
Yeah.
And also I blame Barclays Bank.
All right, go on, tell us more.
Right, when I first came back, I thought, I'm back, I'm home, this is my home.
Yeah.
And I remember I had to open up a bank account. And I went into Barclays Bank, and the guy said to me, we don't open accounts for Nigerians.
Okay. Even
and
with a British passport?
British.
Yeah.
And I showed my passport, and he goes, no, you're Nigerian, we don't want your business. And that really pissed me off. Right? Because I was thinking, I'm here, this is my home. I'm not Nigerian. And it was that moment of sort of like that slap in your face. And I think there was something around me. Well, I wanted to be here. I wanted to be present. I felt powerless in that moment. And I didn't like the feeling. It was the first time I felt helpless. It was the first time I felt powerless
Okay.
against a system which I believed was my system.
Mm.
And then I was working in a shopping centre, Brent Cross Shopping Centre.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know it.
Yeah.
Local.
And I was working as security. And the police used to come in to pick up the shoplifters.
Mm.
And gradually over time, they go from being the police to this is Fred and Bob and Brian and Maria. And you start knowing them all by name and all this stuff. And then before you know it, we're going out drinking together and all this sort of stuff. And then they said, you should join, you should join. It wasn't a conscious thought, but there was something about, if I have that uniform on, I'll have the power that I thought I didn't have. People will have to listen to me then. The other side of it was there was parts of me, talked about my sexual orientation, that I didn't like. And it was also an opportunity to hide behind the uniform. And there was a part of me that thought, this is my people. I don't know why I felt that.
What, as in the police community?
Yeah, as in white people.
Okay.
I could be a white person. I could be a white person. That would give me that power that I felt that white people have.
Yeah.
That sort of changed. And to put it into context, when I joined the police, I had to give up everything. In the sense of the day I joined, I had no home because I was renting a room. So the day I joined, I gave up that room. So I had no home. So there was nowhere else for me to go on that day.
Okay.
If I hadn't joined, I had no plan B.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So it was like 100% commitment to it. When I started at Hendon, though, they made me aware that I was different.
Okay.
Is that the
But I was still determined that I was going to make this work.
Is that the Hendon training facility you were
Yeah,
referring to? Yeah. Okay.
Really determined to make it work. But throughout the whole of the career, one of the things, and this is where, when I talk about my book, right, the constant theme in my book has been about finding that place where I belong.
Okay.
It's been a constant search to find where is my space? Where do I belong in this world? And when I was in the police, I was determined to say, this is where I belong. And, sometimes the system said, no, you don't. But on the other hand, there were also parts of doing that job where I know I made a difference.
Okay.
A positive difference. In the early years, the first 2 years are probably not so much. The first 2 years, I was trying to prove that I was one of the guys.
I wanted to touch on that as well.
Yeah. I'd be surprised if you didn't.
Yeah. No, because I'll be honest, when I watched the documentary, it was a bit of I was mentioning it to the boys as well. I watched the documentary and it was a bit of a hard watch for me in terms of some of the things that you said. And I don't take it personally because it wasn't me, but then when you watch things, you put yourself in those scenarios. And me being a young black boy living in London, I was always stopped by the police on a regular basis. So I knew from early, my interactions with the police was never positive.
Yeah.
So when I was watching you saying some of the things that you were saying, and I always, for whatever reason, whenever I used to get stopped by police and I used to fight, like there'll be a group of them, whether it was 2 and 3, 2 white guys and 1 black guy, is always the black guy that was trying the hardest to antagonize you, which I never understood. Then listening to your story, it made me understand, okay, so he was just trying to prove himself to his white colleagues, but at the same time, me being a young black boy, and I'm looking at you as a older black man, like what are you doing? Like you're a reflection of me. Like why are you coming harder on me than them? So it was watching it was a bit like, I hear what you're saying, because I understood your trauma and the things that you went through and why you was doing it, but at the same time, it also touched on the things that I've been through in terms of the way I view the police. And I just wanted to know, because you spoke about, I guess, you would go harder on some of the people that you would stop and things like that. If you had a chance to, not to say reconcile, but if you had a chance to speak to them, what would you say today?
I think the starting point would be to understand. You ever heard the phrase hurt people hurt people?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Whether or not they would understand, but I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah, no, as I said, I would understand it.
Hold on, let me die before you bury me. I didn't know what I was doing. I would love, in fact, I have had the opportunity a couple of times to meet a couple of people from those days.
Mm.
And we've had, very healing conversations. Very, very healing conversations. One of the things I will say is that, yes, I came down harder, and I'm not going to deny that, but I never allowed any injustice to happen.
Okay.
Right? It wasn't hard to the extent of, I'm going to arrest them for no reason. Right. And when you're on the receiving, when you're on the receiving end, it doesn't matter what my intention is. The impact is completely different. Yeah. So I've got to take ownership, not about my intent, but acknowledging the impact I had, because I know I hurt people. I know I hurt people in the sense of I saw people, and that's why I said the first 2 years of my career, that's the guy I was. But I didn't know I was that guy. When I realized I was that guy, it changed everything. But I would love definitely to say sorry to so many people. Right. But I would also say this is why we need to understand how this stuff works.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Because what it does to us, it makes us hurt each other. And when we hurt each other, the power base wins. Right? So what I try to say is that if we can get to a place of understanding and not of judgment, then we can both start to heal from this. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we have to get to that place to realize that as much as you were hurted, so was I.
Yeah, but that's
and what was playing out was that hurt.
Yeah, of course, of course. I can watch it from a perspective of not, as I said, I don't individualize it and say, you as an individual. It's more just a time in my life that I experienced and things that I've experienced.
Yeah, no, I get it,
and
man.
just hearing
I do get
and
it.
it's just like, okay, that's an interesting perspective. But I'm so far removed from it that I can have a perspective that it's non-judgmental and just understand it for what it is. Do you know what I'm saying?
But at the same time, there are people out there who are still angry about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I got some really nasty messages when that film came out from some people.
Okay.
Right? And I'm not going to take away from them that anger. I'm not going to turn around and say you have no right to be angry. I get it.
Yeah, but that's something that as an individual you have to work on and I guess be able to come to terms with and things of that nature.
And I for me, I have right, because I recognize that the person I was then was not the person I am now. And I was hurting. I was playing out my own trauma in that situation. And in doing that, I hurt people.
None of us are infallible. Like we all make mistakes.
Yeah. So I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. If you weren't angry and you weren't pissed off, I get the anger towards me for that is legitimate. Totally legitimate. I'm not going to sit down and say, no, you shouldn't be angry.
No, I wasn't, as I said.
Not you personally, but anybody.
I get it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Just to touch a bit more on that, because there was an incident in the documentary where you talk about, and you said you didn't realize it until after, because at the time it was essentially, I don't know. I don't want to frame it as a joke because it's not funny. But when you had the paint,
White
what was it?
face.
The white
Yeah,
face.
that was at Hendon.
Yeah, in Hendon. Like,
Yeah, at Hendon. Yeah.
well, first part of the question is, do you still talk with those colleagues? And second, upon reflection, how do you feel about it now?
I look back on, no, I don't talk though. I have no idea where they are now.
Okay.
But again, I go back to that statement, hurt people, all of us in that moment.
Yeah.
And this is why, if you see the picture, I blurred out their faces.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
All of us in that moment were playing out something that we didn't understand.
Yeah.
Right? And we were all in some ways victims of a system.
Mm.
Yeah. Not that justifies it,
Mm-hmm.
but it gives an understanding. And the reason why I've said that is that at that moment in time, we all believed we were having fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we believed.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was about, this is an opportunity for me to show them that I'm one of the gang.
Yeah.
I'm not that kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Looking back on it, I look back on it not with shame, but with empathy.
Yeah, that's
And I
that's
wish
healed.
I could have grabbed that black guy then and just given him a hug.
Yeah, but you've healed now. That's why you can say that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I get it.
Yeah. But what he needed was a hug.
Mm.
He needed someone there to say, "I've got you," and there was no one there.
Mm.
So he was just acting out his desperation to be part of something.
Yeah, and I get it.
And that's why I think that part of the reason why I'm writing the book is that we underestimate the need to belong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you've never had belonging is not just a word. It's something that makes you human.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you've never felt that belonging, to get it is almost like you almost become a junkie.
Mm-hmm.
I will do anything to even just get a taste of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, even things like, I hated Christmases. For a long time, I hated Christmas because I had nowhere to go at Christmas. So I would wake up on Christmas morning or Christmas Eve if I wasn't working, and I would drink a whole bottle of rum or vodka so it could knock me out throughout the whole of Christmas Day.
Okay.
Because I didn't feel, people would say, "Oh, come around for Christmas," but I sit there and it's somebody else's Christmas. It's not my Christmas. And all of these little things just kind of remind you that you don't belong anywhere. And when you go out searching for that, that was the biggest thing I had to overcome. Belonging. Hugely. Because that belonging made me so lonely. That lack of belonging makes me so lonely. And that's powerful. That is so, so powerful. As a driver to make you do the stupidest things.
Wow.
Stupidest. There's a lot I regret, not just in the police, in my life.
I get it.
For not having that belonging.
And where do you are you in a place now where you feel that you belong?
I mean, I don't have 100% belonging, but I understand where I am.
So
does that make sense?
That leads me onto a question. So, and it goes back to, because you mentioned your sexuality.
Yeah.
Was it harder to come out to, I guess, the black community or the police force in the police community?
It was harder to come out to myself.
Okay.
It took me 2 years for me to be able to look in the mirror and be comfortable with me.
Yeah.
For some reason, I realized that if I was going to do this, I had to be comfortable with me. What may surprise you is that I was so happy that I was in the police when I came out.
Okay, why'd you say that?
Because I never, in the whole of my career, touch wood, and I'm not speaking for other people, for me, I never experienced any homophobia.
Okay.
Right. And my theory is because I took those 2 years to tell me.
Mm.
And I think when you own something about yourself, whether it's your color, whether it's your sexual orientation, one of the things, my phrase is that you have as much impact on me as I allow you to have.
Mm.
My sexuality, my color, my life, I'm paying my bills, not you.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to listen. So when I came out, it was like, I don't care what you think. It's not your business. One of my favorite phrases is that the mistake you make is that you think I need your approval to be me.
Mm-hmm. Strong.
Yeah, I don't. I know how hard it was for me to accept me. I know what that did to me. You don't. You never had to fight that battle.
Yeah, you have to live with
I'm
yourself.
not saying you, I mean whoever.
Yeah.
No, you've got to live with yourself.
Yeah.
Man.
And that was something I've learned very powerfully. I have to be comfortable with me.
Mm.
I can't seek my comfort from other people.
Of course.
And so the hardest people to come out to was my family.
Yeah. Okay.
My immediate family, because the first person I told was my younger sister, because she and I are the only ones in the family that really still talk.
Mm.
And she came round to my house, and I used to have her sons for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
The son, I used to be like his, Uncle weekends with Uncle G type of thing.
Yeah.
And she came round to pick him up one weekend, and I said, "Look, I got something to tell you." And she said, "What?" And I said, "I'm gay. I've come out the closet."
Yeah.
Mm.
And she turned around, she goes, "No, you haven't. You're not gay. You can't be gay." And I said, "I am." No. And she just grabbed her son and just walked out, stormed out.
Okay.
And I sat there and I thought, that went well.
Mm.
Right? Then I decided something had happened. I don't know if you saw this speech I did at the Gay Pride rally.
I didn't see the speech itself, no.
Right. So I did a speech because when I came out, about 2 weeks after coming out, I was telling somebody at work that I've come out the closet.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, "Oh, I do, I help organize the Pride rally in Trafalgar Square. Would you like to do a speech?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Yeah." If I'm out, baby. I'm not hiding. And so I knew from the moment I did that, so I was going to do that speech, there was going to be news about it.
Mm.
And I thought, I don't want my family to hear this from anyone else. Right? I'm going to go and tell them face to face. Right? You're going to hear it from me, and you can shout and swear at me straight to my face, whatever you want to do, but I'm not hiding from this. And told my sister, that didn't go well. And then I went round to the house to see my mum. Told my mum. My mum just got up and walked out.
Okay.
And I thought, okay. And then didn't speak to them for a couple of months. And then my father died. And I had to go around to the house. And it was a Muslim family and everything. And all the relatives were there. And there was all the men in one room and all the women were in another room. And one of my uncles decided to lead the prayers and the Quran and all this sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're a Muslim family. And then he just turns to me and says, "Hey, Gamal, you are now the only son of your father. Why aren't you married? Why don't you have children?
Mm.
What is your problem?" Right? And I sat there and I remember there was this conversation in my head. Right? Like, what you need to say something. I don't know what to say. Well, you got to do this. And I remember hearing this argument going on in my head. Right?
Mm.
And then it felt like my mouth just said, "Oh, sod you lot, I'm going to take charge." And my mouth just said, "I'm gay." And I remember all these voices in my head looked at my mouth and said, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he goes, shut up. And he just came out into the room. And there was like a minute of silence. And then there was this tsunami of anger, hatred, and everything just came rolling across the floor towards me. I could feel this energy and these voices, and this anger was building up and building up. And I remember sitting there thinking, okay, brace yourself. Yeah. And it felt like something magical happened. As I was sitting there, it felt like, as it was coming forward, it felt like this shield came up and just and covered me.
Okay.
And then all this anger just bounced off, and suddenly all the fear just disappeared.
Excellent.
And it was almost like, oh my God, I can see your ignorance. And it was like, I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember Ken Dodd.
Yeah, with the puppet kind of guy.
Yeah, the Diddy Men.
Yeah.
Right? And he went from these big people to suddenly they look like Ken Dodd's little puppets.
Okay.
Okay? And it was like, we don't like the fact you're gay. We don't like the fact you're gay. And I was trying not to laugh. It was weird. I just wanted to burst out laughing. And I'm holding it. And then they kept shouting at me. And I said, look, you are entitled to your opinion. I'm not taking that away from you. But in the same way you are entitled to your opinion, I'm entitled to reject it. And that was the most powerful lesson I've learned in my life, is that whatever it is about you, like whether it's your color, whether it's your gender, whether it's your sexual orientation, your disability, whatever it is, you have to own it. Because if you don't own it, people will own it for you. And I walked out of that living room that day, and I felt 10 feet high. Right? No matter what you say, you're not going to see me hiding. I'm not going to hide in shame. I'm not going to be disgusted. I'm not ashamed of myself. I'm proud of who I am. Everything that I've achieved, I'm a survivor. And I am fucking proud of that, man. I am my own role model.
Say it
I look
again.
in the mirror and I'm my own superhero. And I don't need anyone's permission to be that.
Yeah, facts.
And that doesn't mean I'm perfect.
None of us are.
But it means I've embraced myself, imperfections, my insecurities, everything. I take responsibility for my shit. Fully.
Well said.
I was gonna. I mean, what you said for the past few minutes has been phenomenal. I was gonna ask a question in regards to what will be identity, because you said that you struggled with, well, let's say struggle for lack of a better word, struggle with identity when you were younger in Kent, and then when you came to Northwest London, and then obviously in Nigeria, because I think at the time you said that you didn't speak Yoruba. So one of my earlier questions was, did you actually manage to pick up the language?
No.
So don't worry, you wouldn't be.
I learned enough to get food.
Okay, because I was very interested actually when you were speaking. In fact, this is not even my question, but when you were talking about Nigeria, I was thinking I would love to know how you assimilated to what would be that culture, because you probably stand out like a sore thumb given that you were under the bridge. And
I never assimilated.
okay.
I was always an outsider. Again, it goes back to the belonging thing, right? And I always felt that, I don't know, I always felt like an outsider there. Always. I never felt that this was my country. I never felt that, which was weird, because when I came back, I sort of like rejected everything to do with Nigeria. Now I wear Nigerian clothes, I eat Nigerian food, I embrace my culture fully.
Sorry, because that's what I find funny as well, actually. And funny enough, this is not even my question, which is obviously when you went to Richard's house, you were loving the fact that you were eating fish and chips. So I've listened so I've listened to all of that. So I find it really interesting. Then you spoke about, you didn't even give a title as to your book, but you said belonging, which I felt was quite powerful. And then it was kind of like one of my last questions, really, as to what kind of message do you want to, let's say send, I guess, maybe with your book.
I think that the biggest message is learning how to own yours. We have to learn how to own our stories.
Mm.
Right? Whatever else. I have this belief, because I've been in so many spaces, I think I've learned all those spaces have helped me understand me. And I don't look back on any of them with regret or sadness. I think if I didn't go through all of those things, I would not be the man I am today.
Mm-hmm.
And what I want to say to people, what I want the book to say is that own your shit.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you've done in life, good or bad, own it. Own it. And, you know, the person you need to be able to look in the mirror and feel proud of is yourself. If you can't do that, that's, it's the most powerful thing to do, but it's also the hardest thing to do. Because most people, when they look in the mirror, they see their faults.
Mm-hmm.
They see their shame. They see their guilt. And you have to work through all of that to get to the peace.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the strength comes in. That's the work I do today to help people to do that today, is that, you know, you have to work through the shame, the guilt, the prejudices, the discriminations, all that stuff. You've got to work through it to get to that peace where you can sit down and say, this is me. That's the work.
Powerful.
And until you do that work, we sit in a place of shame, blame, guilt, judgment, denial, dismissal, defensiveness.
Very powerful. I was going to add something, which I lost my train of thought. When did you realize that your story? No, because you said, because I'll say out like what I'm thinking anyway. Which is, even with our last interview, I ended up going back to listen to it, and I was like really, I was really compelled with what I heard. And again, this has been the same sort of thing this evening as well. But in regards to your story, when did you realize that your story is powerful? Because I remember you saying that you went to Nando's. That's it. You went to have Nando's with, let's say it was the producer, the director.
That was later on. Later on. I mean, I have been. God, you're gonna make me cry now. You're determined to make me cry this time. I have been blessed with okay, let me give you one example. I can give you hundreds of examples like this, all of them equally as powerful. But not long after I did the speech at the Gay Pride rally, the Evening Standard did an article on me, a 4-page spread in the Evening Standard. And I remember the day it came out. I was in central London. And the journalist said I was coming out in today's Evening Standard. And I remember coming to Euston Station, and you see the Evening Standard seller there, right? And he had the standard thing there, and it had black, gay, and a cop, and a big picture of me on it.
Jeez.
And I'm like, holy shit. And then I remember sitting on the train, watching people read it. Right? You know, when you're sitting in that chair and you're looking, and every paper has got a picture of you looking back at you.
That's surreal.
And I wanted to stand up and say to people, hello, I'm here. Right? But anyway, so the next day after that, I go to work and I get a phone call in the office. And they said, there's this Jamaican police officer who wants to meet you. Right? And I said, okay. So I invited her into my office. And the next day she turns up and she grabs my hand. And she says to me, she was a cop in Jamaica, right? Married with kids, but she was a lesbian, a down low lesbian. And she had gone to a party, a lesbian party in Jamaica, and it was raided by the police. And she got recognized. And she started to get bullied. And, you know, all the usual stuff. And she got so scared that she jumped on a plane and flew to Miami. After a couple of weeks, she came back hoping that things would have died down. She came back. Her husband had taken the kids and left the house. There was graffiti across her door, and her car had been petrol bombed. In that moment, she decided that she had nothing left to live for. And she decided she was going to kill herself. But she didn't want to do it in Jamaica. She wanted to do it in London. And she came to London, and she thought, before I do it, I'm going to go out on a high. So she was walking down Oxford Street looking for somewhere to go to the most expensive restaurant. And as she was walking, she came across an Evening Standard newspaper seller.
Uh-oh.
And that poster said, black, gay, and a cop.
Mm.
She said it was like God himself was speaking to me. She went straight to a phone, dialed 999 and said, I need to speak to that officer.
Mm-hmm.
And she said to me, I came here to die. You are now showing me that I can live.
Wow.
I can give you loads of stories like that. In fact, that very newspaper article, I have been to people's houses where they've got it framed on their wall.
Okay.
It's incredible.
I know there was a guy in Canada who was a cardiac surgeon,
Mm-hmm.
right, who contacted me. Right? He wasn't out. I was his sanity for about 3-4 months. Every Sunday he would ring me just to talk.
Mm.
Just to have that space to talk. When I've done the film, I mean, some of the emails and messages I got from films are not just from gay people. From people who turn around and say, your story has touched me, has given me the confidence to do this.
Mm.
There was a guy, I got an email from a guy in Australia. He emailed me and he said, I live in the outback of Australia. I've just seen your film. I'm not black. I don't know any black people. He said, but there's a question you asked in that film, which is going to stay with me for the rest of my life. He said, I'm almost 60. I've never asked myself this question. And the question was, who identifies you?
Mm.
He said, I've never thought about that. I've had white people ring me up and say, you've given me a whole totally new view of racism and how it works. And that's the power of our stories. When you can tell your story without shame or blame or guilt, it hits people hard. It hits them hard.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm most proud of.
Mm-hmm.
It's not proud in an egotistical sort of way,
Mm-hmm.
but proud that if I die today, I've left a legacy.
Mm.
I've changed lives.
We're going to close off with our tradition of playing a game called Dope or Trash. And
Okay.
it's basically, you know the phrase, never judge a book by its cover?
Yeah.
We're taking that and just put it into the game where we just give you a name of a book and you just say dope or trash. Simple as a bit of fun, nothing more than that.
Obviously, you're hoping that I've read the book.
I mean, it's just based on the title. So whether you've heard it, whether you've read it or not, it doesn't really matter. But it'll be a few books, then we'll close up the episode.
All right. If you come back on again sometime, I'm more than happy, man.
Okay.
Can I just say,
Yeah, sure.
before you go into your game,
Yeah.
I have really enjoyed this session.
No, I appreciate it. No, we have too. Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it's been compelling.
And I've appreciated. There's when you sit down with a couple of brothers and have these conversations, it hits in a different way.
Yeah, no, I appreciate
Definitely,
it. For sure.
100%.
For sure.
So I appreciate the love. I appreciate the respect. I appreciate the honesty.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate the three of you and what we've had this evening. I've been really looking forward to this.
No, us both. Like,
It's
absolutely.
appreciated.
And when the time comes when you actually get the book done and you're ready to promote it, then by all means come back on the platform.
That's not you. You're not big enough.
Oh, sorry, what is the title?
Go on.
But we're working on. I mean, the working title at the moment is called Unraveling.
Okay.
Okay.
But I don't like that title. I want to go with Belonging.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we
Or
look
the other
forward
one
to-
is See Me Now.
Okay.
Now we look forward to hearing when it's
Yeah.
confirmed. Then yeah, by all means, we can pick up again.
No worries, man.
All right.
Yeah. Okay,
so
go on. Let's play the game.
let's start. Let's begin. The Fire Next Time. It's by James Baldwin, just to give you a help.
Oh, it's got to be dope. James Baldwin has got to be dope.
I'm
You
not
can't
going to
mess
do
with
that
James
again.
Baldwin,
I'm just letting you know. I'm not going to tell you the name of the authors next time. That was just for the first one. But I knew, yeah, because it's James Baldwin, I had to help you out there.
Yeah. I used this quote in my acceptance speech on the BAFTAs.
Yeah, no, amazing author. Between the World and Me.
Dope.
Black Skin, White Masks.
Dope. Read that book.
Invisible Man.
Dope.
The Autobiography of Malcolm X.
Dope. Oh, God. Yeah, come on, give me a challenge.
The New Jim Crow.
Dope.
Police and the Black Man.
Dope.
Chokehold.
Dope.
The End of Policing.
Oh. I'm going to say trash.
Cool. You Have the Right to Remain Innocent.
Dope.
Manhood in America.
Sorry?
Manhood in America.
Dope.
The Will to Change.
Dope.
All Boys Aren't Blue.
Dope.
The Velvet Rage.
The what?
The Velvet Rage.
Oh, Velvet Rage. Dope.
Brother to Brother.
Oh, definitely dope.
How We Fight for Our Lives.
Definitely dope.
And The Story of G Turawa.
Oh, trash.
Wow. Wow.
Thank you for playing, man. Thank you for being a guest on Fully Booked.
Meets.
Fully
Oh,
Booked.
thank
Meets.
you, man. Like I said, much respect.
Yeah, love.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.